push us forward. So I'm going to very quickly just take you around the blog. And I think it's important in examining all of this stuff. You know, I write about the science every day. What I do think it's important to know, to clarify that range of warming possibilities, the sensitivity of the system to a buildup of carbon dioxide. It's vital to clarify that a little. But I also write about the sociology. I write about the communications question. I talk to sociologists increasingly as much as I talk to climatologists. And I think there's an important gap even in the way the IPCC went about communicating about climate change. There's no chapter in the IPCC about how humans relate to these kinds of risks. There's no chapter in risk management, really. In the Working Group 3 part, there is stuff about options and scenarios for society, but not about human nature. What is it about our species that makes it hard to wrap our heads around issues like Social Security and Medicare insolvency, which we know are going to have big bad consequences someday for somebody, but boy, that sure is put-offable. And climate change, which is actually more momentous at the worst case than those things, and it's still somehow put-offable. So if we're not considering the sociology, if environmental campaigners and politicians are not considering communications, what's known about communications and what works and doesn't, then they're probably just going to fall into the same old traps. And the same old traps include this dynamic of the sort of catastrophe hoax dynamic. The folks who would like us all to believe this is a hoax would very happily like to see everyone keep talking in terms like climate crisis, tipping point, because it gives them just enough of a little credibility wedge to keep the whole thing paralyzed. And what I've been trying to do increasingly through the 20 years I've been writing about global warming, more than 20, is to try to flip it around and say, well, where are the points of agreement? Where's the stuff that's a total no-brainer? And in the energy arena, of course, there's a huge amount that's a total no-brainer. And then finally, as I take you around a couple of things here, journalism, communications used to be this thing that society left up to white guys with pads. You know, for all the history of journalism, that's mostly been what it's been about. We have big efforts in the newsroom to make it as multicultural as society, but it's still, you know, and that's gone away. And now newspapers are gone away. The front page is going away. We just Thursday in the newsroom of the New York Times, a 155-year-old newspaper, the editor-in-chief came out and said, you know what, everyone here is going to have to take 10 days of unpaid leave this year, which, you know, I think is great as long as you can pay your rent. I'll take 2 extra weeks of not doing this. But that means I'm not doing this. That means for two weeks, because of the implosion of advertising revenue and the unwillingness of people to pay for content online, the New York Times will have less people doing less journalism. And the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, their newsroom just went from 160 people to 20 people. As that paper, they ceased publishing the printed paper about a week or two ago, and now they're going to all online. So we can't rely on the idea that there's some guy with a pad who's going to make this all clear for us. Increasingly, society, whether it's someone with a cell phone in Bangladesh, or someone here in a community doing community journalism or blogging, the responsibility of moving things forward lies increasingly with everyone. The media is us. Just look at Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, and you understand that. So the responsibility for this all is sifting out into the whole world. And that can lead to good things or not, depending on how people engage, and especially young people. There's one video I just want to show you, and when I work on my work now, I do print stories, I do print blog pieces, I do sometimes podcasts from the Montreal Climate Talks, I take video when I go to the North Pole just as much as I scribble in pads. I've written books now, not just for grown-ups, but for younger people, because if I'm not working and if you're all not thinking about the younger generation, what I call on the blog Generation E, then we're not really being effective in our communication. And I think, and this has come up here several times, this isn't just about numbers, and if the argument remains just about numbers, then it's not going to go anywhere, because in Washington, the folks, again, you know, there's plenty of folks who will use the numbers to just sort of stymie actual action. So in December, when the 40th anniversary of the Earthrise photo came around, I didn't just say, you know, that happened. I did a little video. A friend of mine, Andy Chaikin, who wrote the seminal book about the Apollo program had this little audio clip of what happened, that moment, that magic moment in space when Apollo 8 came out from behind the moon, and they went, whoa, what's that? And it's, of course, us. It was Earth. And they took that, scrambled to take that picture. And it's all, I've never seen it actually all together, the conversation, the imagery. And then Japan did this amazing thing where last year, 2007, they had a video camera on a Japanese satellite going around the moon, and they did sort of a video version of Earthrise. So here's one quick minute. And the values, the aesthetics that's encapsulated in this video, I think is just as important as what kind of cap and trade bill we try to negotiate.
All right, we're going to roll. Oh my God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, that's great. Hey, don't take that, it's not scheduled.
This is real. That's what's so wild about it. It's not Capricorn 1. The music was by one of my bandmates. So I'll stop there. Next. Thank you.